Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to Measures of Green Urbanism. Today we are going to start with lecture 19 and our topic is public transit. Public transportation is known by certain common names such as public transit, mass transit, urban transit, and they are concerned about means or modes of travel which is meant for multiple people. So, when we are talking about bus service, train service, ferry service, etc., they are all modes of public transit or public transport. Public transport plays a very important role in providing accessibility, in improving accessibility for a nation, for a region, for a city. Public transport has many benefits. Certain are direct benefits and there are some indirect benefits. Direct benefits are provided in terms of affordable means of travel between locations to the common public. It provides benefit in terms of ease of reaching destination in a certain time. It also provides equity benefits, meaning there are many people who might not be having individual means of travel, be it by virtue of economy, by virtue of their income capabilities or other limitations. There are a number of people who might not be able to avail individually owned or privately owned vehicles to travel. So, for all those people who do not have this access, the only means of access can be given by public transportation. So, public transportation are used mostly by population who are belonging to specific socio-economic categories. Public transportation are used by vulnerable groups, they are used by the elderly, they are used by women in large numbers, and if they are made more accessible in terms of providing universal access, they offer a safe, convenient and affordable means of travel to majority of the population. The indirect benefits from public transportation are also very important. If we have a very effective public transportation in an area, that leads to reduction in pollution. It leads to reduction in congestion or traffic, and it also leads to many other benefits which we will be discussing in the coming slides. So, how do we measure the performance of public transportation in a country, in a region or in a city? There are specific aspects that can be measured. A one-sided way of measuring the performance of a public transport can be in terms of the fare that is generated, but it is not a very holistic way to calculate the total benefit. a fare generated by using a transportation is a direct benefit or a direct impact that we can measure. But public transportation does not only or is not made feasible only by looking at the fare that will be generated out of it. So, there are other aspects that needs to be researched or studied. So, one benefit, one aspect of having an improved public transportation can be improved service. So, we have to look at service quality. So, improvement in travel time, improvement in speed, while keeping comfort steady or safety levels, maintaining a certain safety standard. So, that is related to improved service conditions. Increased service condition is primarily concerned with transit ridership. So, the increase in passenger kilometers travelled or the increase in modal share. So, if we look into the overall modal share modes used in a region, what percentage of it is actually accounted by public transportation. So, these are the indicators that helps us assess increased service by public transportation. Another aspect that we can measure is reduction in automobile usage or private automobile usage. So, we can also calculate this by looking into by catering into the modal shift from one type of mode to the other type of mode, ideally from personal vehicle or privately owned vehicle to public transit. So, there are several ways of evaluating the effectiveness and the performance of public transport. If we look into the quality of public transport, or what do we mean by that, we actually are talking about having a relatively fast means of travel which is convenient, which is comfortable and which is integrated with other modes of travel. For example, if somebody wants to travel from say one city to another city, so for intercity travel, if we have a bus system, if we may have a train system also. Now, first people need to reach the terminal station, the bus stop or the bus station or the train station. So, availability of feeder services to these to the bus station or the train station, and similarly availability of feeder service to ensure the last mile connectivity is helpful in improving the overall quality of public transportation. So, that integration actually helps in people using public transportation more and more. High quality public transportation can stimulate transit oriented development, which has been put forward as a sustainable mode of development or sustainable style of development. We will be discussing this aspect in our next lecture. Having a transit oriented development as a impact of high quality transit also means more compact development. People being less dependent on individually owned vehicles and people using more active modes of travel to reach the transit stations. Evaluation of the impact of public transportation becomes better or clearer when we look into accessibility indicators such as isochronic accessibility. Instead of simply looking into the mobility based indicators such as improvement in travel time or improvement in or the cost saving as such. These are factors that impact people's choice of mode, travel mode, but they are not very, it is not again very simple to make deductions that if cost is reduced or if travel time is reduced, people will choose this travel mode directly. It is not that simple. So, when we are using accessibility based measures such as isochronic accessibility measure, like people can use or get access to this many types of opportunities within a 10 minutes travel time or a 15 minutes travel time. That is a better measure of performance of a public transit, instead of simply going by mobility based measure like this will be the reduction in travel time or the reduction in travel expenditure. Why do we need public transit? The other question, particularly relevant in India's urban context. We have seen that after COVID, the number of privately owned vehicles have increased multifold. At least what we can see on roads today, the number of private owned vehicles such as two-wheelers and four-wheelers have increased a lot. The overall number of private vehicle registration has gone up over the years, but now we see this change and this change is very evident. What does it lead to? It leads to extreme traffic congestion on road, which leads to lot of loss in time, in resource. It leads to increase in pollution, both air pollution and noise pollution. So, there has always been lot of research in related to transportation about what may be done to make people choose a specific mode over other modes. And it has been seen that one way to tackle traffic congestion might be to increase the right of way of roads. One way might be through highway expansion, but they have not really tackled the issue, because over time it is seen that if roads are expanded, if right of way is expanded, that actually tells people so that people are more eager to bring out their own vehicles on road, because they know that road expansion has happened. So, now there will be less congestion. So, initially immediately after road expansion, congestion reduces a little bit, but then again because of availability or of more road space, more vehicles enter the situation and we reach a kind of equilibrium in terms of traffic congestion. So, with respect to road expansion, if we focus more on transit improvement, so providing improved service quality, providing better transit coverage, will that bring about a solution or a better solution to traffic congestion? It has been told in multiple areas that there are different factors to be considered while we are formulating policies to target people's choice of specific mode. And there are two types of factors that we should consider. We should not only focus on push type of factors that kind of provides a penalty or tries to limit people's use of particular mode, and then there are the pull type of factors that induces people's interest in using a particular type of mode. An example can be if say mass rapid transit is introduced at a very cheaper or very affordable rate, they act as a pull factor. The type of push factor can be having specific pricing or having higher parking fare at certain locations. It has been seen that focusing only on one type of factor does not bring about the necessary change. Instead, if we combine both push and pull factors, it brings about the necessary change. So, why and how people choose to travel, it depends on multiple factors. And it has been seen that as urbanization increases, it leads to increase in or improvement in infrastructure, it leads to increase in land values, and it leads to increased congestion, because as people's economic capability increases, they go for more convenient, more comfortable means of travel that accords them more freedom of exercising their choices. That automatically leads to them going for privately owned vehicles. So, if the added offer given or the added opportunity given by public transit is simply in terms of money or in terms of travel time, that does not often have the desired outcome of a policy. So, transit is made cost effective, particularly in highly urbanized areas. This is also true. So, if we are thinking of developing a metro system in any city, it will not work. It will not be very cost effective to begin with. So, it depends upon the type or the level of urbanization, what type of public transportation should suit the existing population. We will be discussing them for further details in the next slides. So, these are some of the examples of best public transportation system in the world. And when we are talking about the best public transportation system, there are two categories have been used, at least in this lecture. In the first category, we are essentially talking about the coverage or the service improvement or the service coverage of transportation system, how affordable they are, how expansive they are, how integrated they are. So, for example, we start with Seoul, which has a huge public transit ridership of about 3.4 billion rides per year, which is also affordable. Then we have Santiago, Chile, where we have metro system which people use in large numbers, and the system is also pretty expansive. Then we have the example of Tokyo, which has very high transit ridership, followed by Madrid, which includes multiple modes, which includes metro, light metro rail, commuter rail, buses, also available at affordable cost. Finally, we have the example of Shanghai, which has the largest metro, which is also integrated with bus, is integrated with maglev, integrated with ferry. We have the metro system at Paris, which has 300 stations and 16 lines, providing connectivity with the core city and the periphery. We have Taipei, where also the local subway system is very effective and efficient. We have the U-Bahn in Germany, we have metro system operational in Dubai, and we also have the metro system in Mexico. Now, when we see these examples, we can see that the most common word is metro, and in certain cities the other common word is integration with other modes. So, from looking at the best public transportation system, which however it depends upon the particular ranking system that we are following. This is by no means a universal ranking system. This is given by a private institute. We come to explanation of efficient public transportation systems, and we start with Zurich. Zurich has given bus priority at its signals. So, it allows for a minimal waiting time for its citizens. The service is pretty reliable and it provides connectivity to smaller towns as well as to rural areas. So, from Zurich, when we go and seek the example of Hong Kong, which is again considered as one of the most efficient public transportation system, we again see multiple modes that are used, along with a very ease of payment for using all these modes. The services have higher frequency, they have very less waiting time, and they provide excellent last mile connectivity. They again have very high passenger volume, and in here at least transit oriented development has happened, because the properties which are located at certain distances from the stations are valued very high, and 90% of all motorized trips are accounted by public transportation only. Along with these pull factors, there is a push factor, which is given by the high taxes on car ownership and expensive parking. So, from Hong Kong, we can also take the example of Singapore, which has very good integrated mass rapid transit modes via metro as well as via bus network. So, the urban development is mostly concentrated around the bus or metro stations and transit hubs. Real-time traffic flow management is done through intelligent transportation services. Electronic road pricing is introduced that actually asks users to pay additional money for using certain roads during peak hours. There is also a single contactless payment system, Simply Go, that helps users navigate the system using very ease of payment, giving ease of payment options. From there, we use again the example of Tokyo, which provides seamless city travel, intercity travel as well as connection to suburban areas through subway lines. The bullet train system has dedicated tracks, have automated controls and signalings. They also have earthquake warning systems that helps train to stop at nearest stations. The Tokyo transportation is also developing newer technologies to allow for even better service quality, such as the SC Maglev. It is investing in researching on fuel cell electric vehicles and hydrogen powered buses. Next, we take the example of Curitiba, Brazil, where we have one of the most efficient and affordable public transport system of BRTS, where dedicated bus lanes are given, and bus rapid transit system is a really effective and affordable alternative to metro, because the number of people who travel or who ride a bus, if we compare it to a metro, and if we actually compare the cost of developing a BRTS as compared to an MRTS, we really see that BRTS is the much affordable and efficient option. The existing BRTS in Curitiba connects major hubs, and smaller feeder lines are there to ensure the last mile connectivity or more coverage, connecting specific neighborhoods all over the city to the main public transit system. We can also use the example of Helsinki, Finland, where we have extensive cycling infrastructure. We have advanced electric vehicle charging system. We also have the national rail link and advanced technologies that put forward mobility as a service and autonomous vehicle technology. There are car sharing options provided in the city along with zones that have been declared as car free. So, the whole focus is to ensure better options of safe, convenient travel, and the focus is also there so that there is no monopoly in the advanced traffic, in the advanced technologies. So, lastly, we take the example of Copenhagen, where again we have cycling infrastructure, we have electric harbour buses, we have extensive metro and light rail networks, and in here the cycle tracks have dedicated sensors. There are specific notice boards or information system particularly for the cycle tracks. The traffic signals are coordinated to give priority to cycles. So, these are some of the examples where very efficient public transportation system. So, not focusing only on metro, but also looking into other modes of travel. When we look into the public transit system within India, then we have a high variation. The large metropolitan cities in India have bus service, they have local train service, they have metro service, and they have other paratransit modes. Indian cities are a combination of planned development and organic development. The organic development in Indian cities means that many road width do not allow for four-wheelers to be used, and in many sections of the city, two-wheelers can actually provide more easier means of accessibility, particularly with regards to travel time. So, in here when we are discussing about public transportation system in India, we will be looking into the two modes of metro as well as suburban railway system. So, when we are looking into the metro system, at present metro is operational in 20 cities in India, and in 2006 the National Urban Transport Policy, they had proposed that metro should be used in cities having a minimum of 20 lakh population. The given table gives us a good idea about the overall service level of metro in different Indian cities. In here we see that Delhi has a total 10 operational lines and 257 stations, and its metro ridership is roughly about 2 billion, that is comparable at world stage. So, actually in certain cases based on the ridership itself, Delhi is comparable to New York subway system. If we look at the ridership of other cities, we see that the metropolitan cities, for example Kolkata, Chennai, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, they perform much better, particularly in terms of ridership only. When metros, the effectiveness of metro can actually be felt at cities which are having a very large population, because constructing a metro is extremely expensive, particularly as compared with bus transit system. And the real hero of public transportation in India at least is not metro, it is the suburban railway system. So, when we look at the suburban railway system in India, it actually caters to about 50% of total railway travel, railway passengers in India, only for 3 cities. So, Kolkata, Mumbai and Chennai, together the people, together these 3 cities cover about 7.1% of the railway network, but they cater to more than 50% of all railway passengers in India. So, in India, the annual ridership of suburban railway is about 9 billion at least. So, if we look into these numbers, then Mumbai alone has a ridership of 3 billion. Kolkata has a ridership of 1.8 billion and Chennai also has a ridership of 1 billion. So, together these suburban railway system, they act as the lifeblood of these metropolitan cities, and they have been in operation for a number of years. In certain cases they have dedicated tracks, in certain cases the suburban railways share track with other express trains, other type of trains. So, in India this is the best public transportation system as of now. We also have very effective transportation systems, particularly bus service in many Indian cities. So, in India we have roughly about 85 million trips per day, and there is a significant urban and rural divide. What is this urban and rural divide? It means that the public transportation system is performing better in more urbanized states. It is the choice of travel for urbanized areas, and in an urbanized area typically the performance of local train or suburban railway is the best. The next best system, transportation system, is bus, and the next one is metro. So, this is an example. This is for overall Indian urban areas. There can be specific cases where the bus system is not performing that well. The metro system can be performing better than the bus system in certain cases. We have seen that over the past years, past 10 or 20 years also, the overall number of the overall ridership for bus at least has gone down. The number of the overall bus fleet has also gone down in certain cities, and significant investment in bus infrastructure is needed in India at least. So, in Mumbai local, if we take the example of Mumbai, we see that in Mumbai 8 million people travel by the suburban railway, 3 million people use bus service and 1.5 million people use the metro. So, we can see similar trend in other urban areas as well. BRTS is available and operational in India in about 11 cities till date. So, we have Indore, Ahmedabad, Surat, Hubli, Dharwar, Amritsar, Rajkot, Pune, Raipur, Vishakhapatnam, Vijayawada and Jaipur. There are certain cities where we have BRTS as well as MRTS. For example, Jaipur also has a metro. So, a major concern in public transportation system in India is the commute time, particularly those who use road network. So, the one way commute time for Bengaluru, for Delhi is very high. It is almost nearing an hour in these cities, and it leads to lot of loss in terms of travel time, in terms of energy, and it leads to pollution. We have seen that while people select a residence or residential location choice, they select the location as well as the means of travel at the same time. So, people usually prefer more compact homes and locations which provide suitable travel options and provides good access to local services and other amenities. Research has shown that whenever a new metro system has been introduced, it has made certain changes or it has led to modal shift, but it has not made to the modal shift that people might want. So, it is not that if people have their own cars or if they are relying on their own vehicles to travel, they have not shifted from their private vehicles to metro. In certain cases, people have shifted from using other modes of travel to metro. So, we have to really rethink and formulate policies that will ensure that people will rely less on using personal vehicle and they can rely on public transportation system, because finally if the number of individual or privately owned vehicle, once it increases, it will lead to additional congestion, and people rarely set aside their private vehicles for convenient public transportation, only looking at the increase or the benefit due to travel time or cost. There has to be additional supporting push as well as pull factors. So, when we are trying to evaluate the quality of a transit service, these are the factors we should consider. We should look into the availability of it, that is the number, the point. So, how better the network is covering the whole area. So, where is it available, for how long it is available, and what are the different areas it is covering. Frequency is also a very important aspect. So, the timing, the operational timing is important. The frequency is also an important aspect, that is directly related to reliability. Travel speed is an important aspect, but more important is reliability, which is how often the service actually follows the schedule. So, there have been numerous complaints regarding this aspect, whether it be travelling by train, travelling by bus, particularly in regards to public transportation. One another aspect that makes people readily use public transportation is the integration with other nodes. Pricing structure and payment options or ease of payment options is another supporting factor. User comfort and security. While people are using the particular mode, or they are waiting for a particular mode, or they are walking up to the transit station, all three are important. Accessibility, particularly by walking in reaching station, is important. Universal design is important, and affordability is linked with the pricing structure and payment options. Universal design is linked with accessibility. Information, aesthetics and amenity are the three other supporting facilities that are used or should be used to evaluate the transit service quality. So, even if the frequency can be high and even if availability is there, without reliability, the transit service quality won't be complete. Thank you for your attention. We will be discussing transit oriented development in our next lecture.